Hello, my name is Andrew, and welcome to Sleepy School. Each night, I'll read you a story filled with history, science, and wonder, told slowly, so you can learn and drift off at the same time. Before we begin, I always love to know, where in the world are you listening from? I read every comment, and it makes me smile to imagine all the places people are falling asleep tonight. If you're new here, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and lets me keep bringing you a fresh bedtime lecture every evening. Now, settle in, take a slow breath, and let's begin tonight's story. Tonight, let us travel back to the rugged hills of the Peloponnese, to the ancient city-state of Sparta. The night air is crisp, carrying the scent of pine from the slopes of Mount Taygetus, and the quiet hum of cicadas lingers faintly in the darkness. Across the Eurotas Valley, moonlight spills onto olive groves and vineyards, and the river glimmers like a silver thread winding through the fields. Yet in Sparta, the atmosphere is unlike anywhere else in Greece, for this is not a place of ease or luxury, but of discipline, silence, and strength. Imagine the city as it was in the 5th century BCE, at the height of its power. Athens glitters across the Aegean with marble temples, theatres, and lively debates. But here, in Sparta, there are no grand monuments to attract travellers. No bustling agora filled with merchants calling out prices. Instead, the city seems almost modest, with clusters of simple stone and mud brick houses and wide training grounds echoing with the sound of marching feet. To outsiders it may appear austere, but to the Spartans themselves, this was the truest expression of greatness. Not wealth, not art, but the forging of character. The heart of Spartan life was the agōgē, a word that meant leading or guidance. It was more than a school. It was a lifelong path of discipline, training, and loyalty to the state. And tonight, you are to imagine yourself at the threshold of this world, as a 7-year-old child standing before the elders, ready to begin your first day. The question is simple. Could you survive? The story begins even before you arrive. In Sparta, newborns were inspected by the Council of Elders, the Gerousia. If a child was judged weak or deformed, it was said that they might be left in a chasm near Mount Taygetus. Whether every detail of this practice is true or partly shaped by later accounts, the message is clear. From the very first breath, life in Sparta was about strength and the survival of the fittest. Only those considered able to serve the city would be raised. So if you stand here now, ready to enter the agōgē, it means you have already passed this first silent test. The night before your training begins, you are taken from your family home. You say farewell to your mother, whose role in Sparta is stronger than in most of Greece. Spartan women were known for their confidence, their management of estates while the men were away, and their sharp wit. She looks at you with steady eyes and says the words that Spartan mothers were famous for. Come back with your shield, or on it. It is not a cruel statement, but a reminder. Your life, your honour, and your courage belong not to you alone, but to the polis. At dawn, your first day begins. The air is cool as you wake in the barracks with other boys your age. There are no soft beds, no warm blankets. You sleep on reeds cut from the riverbank, sometimes with only a thin cloak to cover you. The discipline begins immediately. You are expected to rise quickly without complaint and prepare for inspection. Hair must be kept short, nails trimmed, clothes plain. The life of a Spartan boy is not about comfort, but about obedience to routine. Breakfast is simple, a small portion of barley bread, perhaps softened with wine and sometimes a bit of black broth, a mixture of pork, vinegar and salt that Spartans were famous for. The portions are not generous. Hunger is a companion here, meant to sharpen your body and your wits. Later, as you grow older, you will be encouraged to steal extra food. Not because the city cannot feed you, but because stealth, cleverness, and daring are skills as valuable as strength. If you are caught, the punishment is severe, not for the theft itself, but for failing to succeed. Training begins with exercise. The instructors, older youths and men called paidonomoi, lead you to the training ground. Barefoot, you run over hard earth, the morning chills stinging your skin. You learn to endure cold, heat and discomfort without complaint. Wrestling is among the first lessons. On the packed sand, you grapple with other boys, learning balance, leverage and toughness. Falls are frequent. Bruises are expected. The instructors do not comfort you. They watch to see how quickly you rise, how determinedly you return to the fight. Courage is not measured by victory alone, but by persistence. As the sun climbs, you march. The rhythm of your bare feet striking the earth joins the sound of others, dozens of boys moving as one. The cadence is steady, accompanied by the faint music of flutes. In Sparta, music and rhythm are not luxuries, but tools of discipline. Songs of war, hymns to the gods, chants to guide the march. These teach unity and order, preparing you to one day stand in the phalanx, shield to shield, shoulder to shoulder. Lessons are not limited to the body. In the shade of a portico, you are taught to recite poetry, especially the verses of Tyrtaeus, a Spartan poet whose lines praise courage in battle and loyalty to comrades. The words are meant to live in your heart, to be recalled in moments of fear. You also learn to read and write, though education is minimal compared to Athens. The focus is always on what serves the city. Brief speech is valued. Spartans are famous for their laconic phrases, sharp, witty and direct. Long speeches are for Athenians. Here, a single word can be a command, or a judgment, or a challenge. By midday, training turns to endurance. You are made to run long distances, to leap over obstacles, to swim in the chilly waters of the Eurotas. Sometimes the instructors withhold sandals or cloaks, forcing you to face the elements with only your body. Pain is constant, but complaining is forbidden. To whimper is to show weakness. To endure in silence is to show strength. The boys around you do the same. Each is tested, each is watched. The agōgē is not only about individual toughness, but about forging a group that acts as one. Lunch is small again. Another piece of bread, sometimes figs, occasionally cheese if rations allow. Hunger gnaws, but it is a lesson. You are told that a Spartan must not depend on plenty, but on resourcefulness. To be able to survive on less is a kind of wealth that no enemy can take from you. Older boys, called Irines, supervise the younger ones. They command you, discipline you, and set challenges. They too are learning leadership by guiding those beneath them. The afternoon may bring mock battles. Shields made of wicker are handed out. You are divided into groups and ordered to charge, to defend, to hold formation. Dust rises, shouts echo, blows land with dull thuds. It is play in one sense, but deadly serious in another. Every exercise prepares you for the life of a soldier, for the day when wooden shields will be replaced by bronze, and games by war. Evenings are quieter, but never idle. You gather in the mess hall, the Sicilian, where Spartan males ate together in communal groups. The food is plain, the portions still meager. Conversation is limited but sharp. Elders sometimes visit to question you, testing your wit and quickness. A boy who cannot answer is mocked, for Spartans believed that mental agility was as important as physical endurance. Afterward, stories are told of heroes and battles past, of Leonidas and the 300 at Thermopylae, of ancestors who stood firm when others fled. The past is always present, a constant reminder of the standard you must live up to. Night falls, and the barracks grow quiet. The boys lie down again on their reeds, cloaks wrapped tightly around them. The instructors make their rounds, checking for order, for discipline. Somewhere outside, the faint howl of a wolf echoes from the hills of Taygetus. In the silence you feel the weight of the day, the hunger, the bruises, the fatigue. But you also feel a new kind of strength, a sense that you are part of something greater, something unyielding. This is only the first day of the agōgē. Many will struggle, some may fail, but those who endure will grow into the warriors that made Sparta feared across Greece. Could you survive it? That is the question that lingers as the lamps dim, and sleep comes, slowly, like a cloak of silence, settling over the barracks of Sparta. When the years pass and you grow older in Sparta, the training only hardens. By the age of 12, your body has changed. Taller, leaner, your muscles grown from constant exercise and hunger. But comforts do not increase. In fact, they are taken away. Your cloak is the only garment you are given for the year. You wear it in the heat of summer, and you wrap it around yourself in the biting cold of winter. Sandals are no longer permitted. Barefoot, you move over stony paths, sharp reeds and frozen ground. The lesson is clear. A Spartan must be as unyielding as the land itself. Your hair is cropped short, your bed no longer lined with soft reeds. Instead, you are expected to make your bedding from whatever you can gather. Rushes pulled from the riverbanks, sometimes nettles or tough grasses plucked with your bare hands. If your hands sting or bleed, the elders smile. You are learning that pain is not a foe but a companion. Food grows scarcer, the daily rations are reduced deliberately. You are expected to find ways to feed yourself, by stealth, by cunning. The city itself provides little, but outside the barracks there are gardens, storehouses and markets. A boy who manages to slip away, take a piece of cheese or trap a small bird and return without being caught is praised. He has shown cleverness and daring. But a boy who is caught is whipped mercilessly. The punishment is not for stealing, but for failing. One story tells of a boy who hid a fox under his cloak, rather than admit to theft. The fox clawed and bit at his belly, but he kept silent until he died. To the Spartans, this was the highest lesson. Endure, conceal, never yield. Whipping itself is a ritual of education. At the sanctuary of Artemis Orthia, boys are brought before the altar and scourged with rods. The onlookers, parents, elders, even visiting foreigners, watch in silence. The contest is not to see how well a boy can fight, but how well he can endure. The one who bleeds most quietly, who refuses to cry out, earns the greatest honor. Some die in the attempt, but their deaths are celebrated as proof of their courage. To modern ears it is brutal. But in the Spartan mind it was training for the one truth they valued above all, to stand firm in battle, no matter the pain. As you enter your teen years, lessons grow more serious. Wrestling and running continue, but now you learn the arts of the hoplite, the heavy infantryman who stands at the heart of the phalanx. You practice with a wooden spear, its tip blunted, its shaft heavy in your hand. You learn to thrust, to hold a shield steady, to stay in formation no matter what comes. Individual heroics are discouraged. Victory belongs not to the man who breaks free, but to the one who holds the line, shield locking with shield, feet planted, body unshaken. The phalanx is more than a tactic. It is the very image of Sparta itself. Each man incomplete alone, but invincible together. The songs of Tertius are repeated often now. His verses remind you that it is a beautiful thing to fall nobly for the city. You chant the words in rhythm as you march, the flute keeping time, the dust rising around your ankles. The poetry is not soft, it is a command, a binding of your spirit to the ideal of sacrifice. Sleepy though your body becomes, your mind hums with the cadence. Better to die on the field than to see the city shamed. Punishments grow harsher as you age. The Irenes, the older youths who supervise, test you with orders. They may command you to sing, to recite, to answer a riddle. If you stumble, the whip is quick. Sometimes you are ordered to fight another boy suddenly, with no preparation. To hesitate is to fail. To strike back with spirit even when overpowered is to prove worth. The barracks are a constant trial, but they also forge bonds. The boys you sleep beside, train with, bleed with, will one day stand with you in the line of battle. You come to know their faces as well as your own, their silences, their strengths, their weaknesses. You are not simply becoming a soldier, you are becoming part of a brotherhood. At night, the lessons do not end. You lie awake on your rushes, hunger still gnawing. The Irenes may come and question you. They ask about the city's laws, about the sayings of Lycurgus, the legendary lawgiver of Sparta. He is said to have created this entire system, reshaping Sparta into a community where wealth, luxury and comfort were stripped away in favor of equality and strength. Whether Lycurgus was a man or a myth matters little. The laws he left behind are your scripture. You are expected to know them by heart, to repeat them without hesitation. Stealth is practiced constantly. You are sent on missions in the night, barefoot and cloaked, told to slip past guards or bring back an object from the fields without being seen. If you succeed, you are praised for your cunning. If you fail, you are beaten. In this way, courage and cleverness are bound together. The Spartans knew that a soldier must be more than strong. He must be alert, resourceful, and cunning. By the age of 15, the bonds of the agōgē grow deeper. You eat with your Sicilian, your mess group, every night. The Sicilian is a circle of 15 men, soldiers young and old, who share food and stories. To be admitted fully, you must be voted in unanimously. If even one member rejects you, you are excluded, and your honor is stained. The group is not just about eating, it is a constant reminder that in Sparta the individual is nothing without the collective. Bread is broken not at home with family, but in the company of comrades who will one day depend on you in battle. The training also touches the mind in other ways. You are taught to speak little, but to speak sharply. This is the origin of the laconic style, named for Laconia, the land of Sparta. A Spartan is expected to answer in the fewest words possible, but with wit and weight. It is said that when an enemy once threatened, "If we enter your land, we will destroy you," the Spartan reply was a single word, "if." Such brevity is a weapon as sharp as any spear. Rites of passage grow more severe as the years pass. One of the most feared is the crypteia, a secret practice shrouded in both history and legend. Older boys, chosen for their strength and cunning, are sent into the countryside at night, armed only with knives. They must live off the land, unseen, enduring hunger and exposure. In some accounts, they are ordered to intimidate or even kill helots, the enslaved population that worked the Spartan fields. Whether the details are fully true or coloured by outsiders, the cryptire was meant to teach endurance, stealth, and the ability to move like a shadow. If you are chosen for it, your life is no longer measured by drills, but by your ability to survive in silence. As you approach the age of 18, the tests reach their climax. You are nearly grown, taller, harder, your body scarred by whips and bruises, your eyes sharper than they were at 7. The instructors no longer treat you as a child, but as a young soldier. Mock battles now use heavier equipment. Wooden spears are tipped with metal. Shields are no longer wicker, but bronze-faced. The blows land harder, the bruises darker. You are ordered to hold formation against charges, to march through the night, to fight even when exhaustion drags at your limbs. You learn that the phalanx is not only a wall of shields, it is a wall of souls, each bound to the other. To break rank is to betray every man beside you. At this age, you may also begin to mentor younger boys. You correct their stance, you remind them of their duties, you enforce discipline. In doing so, you taste the role of leadership, preparing for the day when you will command others. The cycle continues, generation after generation, each boy shaped by the agōgē, each boy shaping those who follow. Night again in the barracks, you lie under your cloak, sore, tired, but awake with thoughts. The silence of Sparta is heavy. No bustling marketplace, no laughter spilling from theatres, no arguments of philosophers. Only the steady hum of discipline, the rhythm of a city that values the shield wall above all else. The question lingers as sleep presses in. Could you survive this world? Could you endure the hunger, the pain, the silence? Could you shape yourself into the steel that Sparta demands? By the time you reach 18, the line between boy and man begins to blur. Your body is lean, scarred, hardened by more than a decade of hunger, training, and discipline. The elders look at you differently now. You are no longer just a pupil of the agōgē. You are an apprentice to citizenship itself. Every test, every bruise, every silent night on reeds has been shaping you for this moment. The training does not cease, but it shifts. At 18, you are enrolled in what is called the agōgē, the stage of youth preparing for war. You and your comrades march longer distances now, often in full kit. Bronze shields strapped to your arm, helmet pressing hot against your temples, spear heavy in your hand. The line of boys is gone. Now you move as young men, the phalanx forming more steadily, your steps heavier, more certain. The flute still plays, but the sound is deeper, the rhythm steadier. You feel yourself becoming part of something timeless. Weapons drills are constant, no longer just wooden spears, but iron-tipped shafts, shields weighted properly, swords strapped at your side. You learn not only how to fight, but how to kill with precision and discipline. The blows fall harder, the shields clash louder. The instructors no longer hold back their force. When you strike, they strike back. Bruises bloom purple across your arms. Your shoulders ache with strain. Yet you learn that pain fades quickly, while skill endures. A cut on your lip heals, but the memory of how to turn a spear thrust aside remains forever. By now you have lived with hunger for so long that it feels natural, yet the expectation to steal food still lingers. Even as near men, you are tested. Can you slip into a storehouse unseen? Can you vanish into the night, gather what you need and return without leaving a trace? The punishments for failure are even harsher now. A grown youth who fails in stealth may be whipped until blood runs down his back. But if you succeed, you earn admiration. Cunning is still a weapon, just as vital as strength. At this age, many are selected to take part in the cryptire, the shadowy rite that outsiders whispered about with dread. Armed only with daggers, sent into the hills, expected to survive by any means. Some of you live for weeks without returning to the barracks. You learn to move like a wolf, to hide by day, to prowl by night. It is survival stripped bare. No songs, no flutes, no chants, only silence and the heartbeat in your chest. Some tales say that during this rite, helots were stalked as targets, a brutal reminder of Sparta's domination. Whether every detail is true or magnified by later writers, the lesson remains the same. Invisibility, endurance, and obedience to command, even in the loneliest dark. When you return from these trials, the city views you differently. You are no longer just one of many boys running barefoot in the dust. You are marked in scars and in silence as someone ready to stand in the line of men. At 19, the transition grows sharper still. You may now be chosen to serve directly with the army on campaign. Older soldiers test you, watching if you march without faltering, if you hold your place in the shield wall, if you sleep lightly enough to wake at a signal. You march over rocky passes, across river valleys, through mountain shadows, carrying your shield and spear until both feel like extensions of your body. The older men do not coddle you. They bark orders, they mock mistakes, they correct with sharp words or sharper blows. But every correction is another stone set into your character, another thread weaving you into the Spartan fabric. Life in the secession, the mess hall becomes more important now. Every night you sit among 15 men, sharing bread, broth, and stories. Acceptance into this group is a badge of honor. Each member must vote you in unanimously. If even one man objects, you are cast out, disgraced. Those who pass, however, gain not only a table but a family, a group who will march beside you, fight beside you, perhaps die beside you. You are no longer your mother's son, no longer just a boy of the barracks. You are part of the circle, bound by food, by silence, by trust. Conversations at the secession are sharp and brief. You are expected to listen more than speak. When you do speak, it must be clever. A foolish comment is mocked. A sharp reply is admired. This is how the famous laconic wit is trained, not in the marketplace or symposium, as in Athens, but in the fire of shared meals, where a careless word may brand you as weak. You also begin to learn the deeper philosophy behind Spartan life. Elders remind you that wealth is forbidden, gold and silver banned. Iron spits serve as currency, awkward and heavy, so that luxury is impossible. Houses are plain, food is simple, clothing is rough, all by design. The greatness of Sparta, they say, does not come from marble or art, but from the strength of its citizens. And the only true wealth is courage and loyalty. As you listen, you realize that every hunger pang, every blow, every silence has been a lesson in this creed. At 20, the final step arrives. You are no longer a boy. You stand before the assembly of men, the appella. You are tested one last time in strength, in wit, in loyalty. If you are judged worthy, you are granted the title of homoios, a peer, an equal among the warriors of Sparta. From this day forward, your life belongs wholly to the city. You will live in the barracks, dine with your secession, and march with the army. Marriage is allowed, but even then, you will not live at home until you are 30. Your loyalty remains to your comrades. your shield, your city. The oath you take is not spoken in long, flowing words. This is Sparta, after all. It is simple, sharp, binding, to defend the city, to obey its laws, to stand in the phalanx until death if need be. The shield you carry is not just wood and bronze. It is the life of the man beside you. To lose it is to betray them. Better to die, your mother said, than to return without it. Your training is complete, yet in truth, it never ends. The agōgē has shaped every fiber of your being. Your body has been made hard by hunger, your mind sharp by silence, your spirit bound by the chants of Tyrtaeus and the rhythm of marching feet. You are no longer an individual, but a fragment of a greater whole. The phalanx is waiting, and you are one shield among many, one voice in the chorus, one soul in the iron bond of Sparta. Tonight. And so, as you lie beneath the stars, cloak pulled tight, spear and shield at your side, you think of the years that have passed. The night air is crisp, from the boy of 7 trembling in the barracks, to the youth of 15 slipping through the shadows, to the man of 20 hardened and solemn. Could you survive this path? Could you endure the agōgē, its hunger, its silence, its discipline? In Sparta, survival was not just endurance, it was belonging. To belong was to be eternal. The cicadas hum faintly in the valley. The moon glows pale on the slopes of Taygetus. The barracks are silent, save for the breathing of comrades beside you. Tomorrow will bring drills, marches, battles, and duties. But for tonight, you rest. The training has ended, but the life of a Spartan has just begun. Monuments to attract travelers. No bustling agora filled with merchants calling out brings us to the end of tonight's story. The city seems almost modest. I hope you found it calming. Of simple stone and mud maybe you learned something new, and maybe grounds echoing with the sound you're already drifting into sleep. To outsiders, if you enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe to Sleepy School. It helps more people find these stories, not art, and join us each night. I'd also love to hear from you, so let me know in the comments where in the world you're listening from tonight. For now, rest well, dream deeply, and I'll see you tomorrow night with another bedtime lecture. Good night. As a 7-year-old child standing before the elders.